Share video can record from the team. We should get Lord. Put quite on the panel. When we encourage people here as well. And look here on your timeline. I'm going to name a few of your colleagues and your friends. Very Lord, welcome to Sunman Hot Talk Show. I'm going to this show about here. We're quite human to be you. I'm going to die in you on different networks. I can't really talk about soon. Quite on the panel of a fake mail, cover mail, cover jam. I'm going to be by. Look, if you share if I die, we'll go shortly. The next few minutes. Welcome to Coleman Hot Talk Show. If I die, why will I die? That's what I'm saying. Yang ini wabgal shortly. Kita buka so we quite die, not too far away. Probable. Straight after the end of this song. We will encourage about this topic, but we share among your colleagues and your friends. And we quite die. Martin. Ane ran for pinky girl is whooping. Yen we quite die. Quite bala die. We Lord. And welcome to Conman Hot Talk Show. What you got it? Kibugu loy. What we jam topping in Togomate. Randai money. Ran bala die teko. We Lord bin. Koigu ngot. Kilwilku. A bag ping. Kwa baga la ngorki leg by. Yen ku wabulatin. Kilwilku. I'm a bit of introduction about loy. Before Kinway loy. In Kilwilku. Kukania. Baga here we quite on the screen now. Ago koi kok bigla ping ekene le banwe encourage akira lo unter kinka ko logo lo here we speakers well ekene yinia ko wobula twing jamdai we koi dai koi wala dai we chake lo welcome to Coleman Hot Talk Show koi get on the screen achake lo ancha mer men dio ke lo it's second time to on this show anche dun machine jang che lo on this show kwanye chalo pung dai cool be wajam kaya ngot adiel kuoi we koi dai we viewers topping dai jam causes of gender based violence in our communities as part of 16 days of activism kinin ke topping dan be wajam tin kinan nga jweta tin ko kin gola ka ki ka kin ko go ti panel a bit of brief introduction about Loy. Initially 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. So you're a goal nen play tung nen. Yena a baby elo yearly, a yearly event. You're a loy, angi go up with Keralo yearly. Yen myself a first time by jumping this year, but I can compete. But I near can but ping it young to bugu ping enga be ko to on the panel year today 10 December each year again we run so from 25th of November to the 10th of December each year again 16 days of activism keralo against gender based violence wenga be wo jam tin man kro idia from idia pinom dia topin from kre cho leadership and again cho Global Leadership Institute in 1991. So Women's Global Institute Leadership Institute in 1991 ga gol ke din ke boke ya kunum when we are being empowered for the benefits of the kena chira doi gol ya ku yene lu run until call in human rights e local ken yalato India the aim the aim is every because all benign prevention and elimination of violence against women and girls. So akoy ko chol akurto ke ko chol le nanga ke kambo woni hira kai ko eh akudiar ko yena ko violent free society against women and girls. Egem de ni gulil ka ken. Ko jalo on into the questions we quite on the panel we are quite die and welcome to Conman Hard Talk Show. Maybe benang a bit of technical issues, but then kegana chungi so chake lor mer men dio yindun machin wina nyer jok we chake lor welcome to Conman Hard Talk Show. We when this important topic we will by me questions keto before can we get can when with ke kabran a bit of disclosure and a brief introduction and disclaimer being a low road. But mas kwambra mute we koito a jamnge kinge lura mute chan bichen yiko biato. Mer mayen. Okay, merin to mute. So you will lawyer mute. Kwambra mute ya.
Thank you, Philip. I appreciate. To start with, Humber in Jabakalwil, maybe a lot of people knows me, but Kojuta Kujan as well. So, okay, part of Jam as well, and Baran were introduced, no matter how you repeat it all the time. So, and you all Amir Mayan Mayna deal, and then Yana Tweet, and I live in Brisbane, and I am married. That's a bit of personal information. Then, yeah, most of the time, and a lot of people quite engage online on my social media, and I'm very passionate about women issues. Today's topic is one of the biggest topic that I really love so much. I am aware that it's very sensitive for us, because things like this I can handle in a certain way, and I can handle things. I take law in a kind of campaign. But sometimes we have to use the platform as well. Ko ka tin mun to kana wa ko lo share kana koi bila dai kana or koi be kana bela we da manden. So okay, but well to anti expert in gender based violence, but katin nge based on kacha queen maybe from my studies and kacha queen from the internet. Kuki PND as well. So what I say is completely my opinion. Na chironga yin knowledge. If na long ke chalwel ko woni I think chila match kana yin. There's no intention. I'm sorry. Can I my opinions based on this topic I can share, and I am aware that it's a sensitive topic. So I will try to be respectful as much as I can, but we also need to understand that a very important topic. And what I might say today, or could be quite might help change the mindsets of people in practice. So it's very crucial for us to actually talk about it, no matter how sensitive it is. So Kibal will take it as an opinion from me, and you're expert in gender-based violence. It might be different can Kabbalah you from other books. So that's the disclaimer that I can say. Otherwise, okay,
Amir mayana chule kwa we bangor gala dai Amerin wa lo muted can be chin so yeah but chi ja chin indu ma chin bra wa iba muted kuba a bit of a disclaimer below ja disclosure ja ben jam ale question buga tie we kene below duma chin lura muted ya tembal ilu mute para chiragam
Okay, Piangen.
ai wa inji pias yep take it away yep
Noran ken wo kon yo ku yin yin da ten ene jadun machine de mabio rana jin of Sudan again dun machine de mabio na ngai internet yalla nyala ku lepen ke baka yo pin waya and dun machine de mabio rana jin of Sudan ke beguir ne ko le e ke bana very honest about much of what I'm going to say will not come from expertise. There's not even a single book about causes of violence, specifically gender-based violence. I can't quit, not even a single page. And so I can say that Kibalwil is most likely going to be based on common sense. It's going to be based on how I feel about issues. So it's basically going to be my common sense about basically common sense. I don't know how many books I'm going to read the next time I'm reading. And so maybe if the next round of a debate about this topic, you're going to about gender-based violence, okay. Common sense. I will hope that my common sense can be a good kind of beping. Could be a good kind of society, yeah, near China de coin. Now, can good enough today? Kabuku about it and be a good enough the next time. We are all learning, and today it's an opportunity to hear from my common sense. It will be an opportunity for us to hear from a common sense of someone else later. That by Martin, Kuba introduction, but you talk. I'm a feminist by action, and a feminist chitamer chekwen enough. I'm a feminist by action. I believe in Nigeria. If everyone is given equal opportunities, be they educational opportunities, economic opportunities, Karanaban can have similar outputs. So I believe in that. And I call myself a feminist by action because that's what I try to do in my small way, right? So if I find people who go to school, I try to encourage everybody. Alike, I try to encourage everybody alike. Do the best you can. If I find people at work, whether I go well to will call a team, will call Louis Mutapej, I also try to encourage them alike. I don't care I try to encourage them alike because I know that a gender is not a limitation in any way. So I call myself a feminist by action, not a feminist by study. And kenang daman bana kwen. Na le role ba kwen okay kabiyenia. So let the show begin and welcome to my common sense, at least for today. Thanks everybody. Good machine.
Ako yung chira loy ya koji ping tonga mer mayen koji ping tong dun machin anyer jonga kolim ben by brief introduction ba loy a disclaimer ja disclosures ba loy bu jalo into the question yin nyer jok imbro dan mute or imba mute chira loy on your side.
Yeah, my viewers ko we chak le we chak lor an chol nyar jong akol. Like do Rameran an expert, but ending a strong interest in social issues, especially carry women and children. Kaloi pays kaka attack nyar, ukaya always disturb a lot. So yeah, today kabakalwell maybe I think a bit of research, a bit of common sense, a bit of I think a lot around me, my family or people that I know in my life. So, kaki I opinions, they are not, they wouldn't be, well, I yet being a well today, and I encourage people, bring up lum ke eating a ku palgi cheating a. So, welcome. Thank you, Aja.
Wa nyer jonga kol kwa mer mayen dio gudun machin no mabiyor ajang achuke late for the time chu bayman yen ko ba jalo questions when few questions we wo jam tin man pay we kwai dai kwai on the panel kwai angot ala time ngele benele keep question yen jiti babe ku chibula ye we yen kwai dai ya angot ani ko ba diet ki ti kwai on the panel ke won da ko ba dier ke ku ping question thing yen am ngur ka pancho kina won changa gol ba kwani ko ba reverse ba den kitwen bana gol ni ye wikini kunu wiku ba benti kena a week actually dedicated to sin de pingun ye we run from 25th of November to 10th of December every year era loy global or internationally kina che wo pe wo lo yen kika ba tiki ku yena ba gol ba gol opposite to ba bala ben nyal yina nyer jonga ko limbro da yen ki yakobo ti what does 16 days of activism mean and what has it achieved ko way ko ke tomane yen dure chilu drop wo pula bala ben back so yina nyer jok the question is what does 16 days of activism means and has it achieved or in the global perspective. So ina nyer jogging a begol kwa jet to gudun machine chila ben ko ben am
Hey,
nyeri lu inka walu ya mute yin chira lu ya mute ko what's going on.
I think. Yeah, I think. Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
Okay. Whipping Anna?
Yeah, the nyeri guy. So let me try to bring you on the screen. Yeah.
So 16 days.
You've been going here.
I feel like it maybe this year. Okay. Um, 16 days of activism. I think I tried well, but this year I can then a good exposure because of COVID-19. COVID-19 and then quite affected, emotionally, domestically, and then quite real by, but I real so most of the time, but I in one space. So can I violence, and so 16 this year, I think I will exposed more because of COVID-19. But I tried goal. But it started on the 25th to the 10th of December. The 25th, it was international women international gender. Let me get my notes because I feel like I'm at work and stuff. International Day of Eliminating Violence Against Women. So we got it in 1960. In 1960, three sisters got in Dominican Republic because I a political activist against systemic violence against women. So the 25th was created in honor of them. So I feel like we women, we don't have a strong voice in the society that we live in. Watch a physically fit or watch a physically strong. When it comes to against man, fighting against man is just it's not something that we are strong. We are watch it. Humanly, we are not getting watching strength or penalty. So most of the time, women abuse in relationships, in whatever situation, abuse. But actually, money that money balance against road as well. There's balance against road, but women are far. They face violence more. So can it? You need to be 16 days days of activism by a chance to maybe challenge the attitude. Yeah, violent cause who maybe change people, bring awareness to people to change their attitude against women and violence against women, and bring a change and awareness to domestic violence. Domestic violence is quite affected. I feel like in my community, most of the time, but I culture. So take a little then problems in her marriage or generally in our family, abuse, and then you don't speak about these things because you feel like they are I normal, but they are not normal. So I feel like me and Amir were holding very strong views about them, and that's why we are here today to speak about them. So I think I'm one of the panelists about the 16 days of activism. But yeah, that's all I can say about the 16 days of activism. It just raise awareness and, you know, challenge the attitude of men or people that actually commit violence against other people. So I'm a project there.
You know, koi aning kilo rawe kede Louis frozen ya ting koi ko Louis drop down, ko Louis drop in, even myself. So apologies for that. I believe we pingen Kija Steven 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. What does that mean? And what has been achieved on that? So can I cover see Balwil? Kubea me laber. Lura unmute indut over here unmute and money. So can I get into and get question about 16 days of activism? What does it mean and what has been achieved through that system?
Okay. I hope again network has been acting up. I tried way to be able to them and jigam. You know, I tried way to jam go jack when over them go. Lekin book them ya. About goal to win China call wealthy. That I do not know very much about literature of gender-based violence. But then I'm going to go ahead and give my common sense. Could be 1 cent, 2 cents, whatever. 16 days of activism. What it means, what I can infer from that is these are days dedicated for just creating awareness of young the gender-based violence. Days of creating awareness. Benaka Judial Jam, especially things that involve violence. And in my opinion, these are days in which we also try to discuss the alternative means of solving problems. Because they say violence is always the last resort when diplomacy fails. So na chaka jam kuwe ping kaka jitong la bay. And so na jitong juba la bay ba de especially kam yiti kamoy kaka ken be a very equal feel because we take a child with different strength, we take a child with different muscles. It end up that one person is beating the other. And so that is during these days we try to educate because creating awareness young gender-based violence and what are some of the alternative means you can use that can beneke problem at hand beneke solve. To me, I feel like personally I take such days as days of trying to educate as many people as I can to stop violence against and at least vulnerable people, vulnerable members of society. Anjijal pani jenga ye 13. Anjia dung juma jok, you know. Kuane wodo, damano wodo majok. Dung tuk, alle ba winding ti loele bla kwala diat. Buku jo taj wodi buku jo no pen yira kere chwer. Ran dere jela chwol panaman, yini chi chawo ran jela kwal, yini ken ngoloy, ku buku na wodi. Being a vulnerable member of society, sometimes I are growing up in a little bit a bitter way. But during our generation, we normalized that. It was normal. And I any joking bala gwele no wood. Will no gwele no man did kuigel and do I youth are do I know the no dunto no. It was a very normal way of life. During our time too, to them that was the way of getting you encouraged, you know. So you level a cool you Louis bet. Kubo you new ping joy tom. Yin that you believe ringe Louis mananga. Yin that in a thing about call. Yeah, we call it. Jiran man the ba new ping in Gaguto. But lang always yin that you believe. Yin you mention pio. Yin la Venezuela cool giwi. Rinchi mana jang kona kiwo. And then tell me after 1 week. Nan bagan angdor. What am I trying to say? The simple thing I'm trying to say is times have changed, right? Times have changed. For us, during our generation, it was normal. We were coming up, could do it, could carry up your glory wedding. Now we just work with Tonga. That was normal. It was a way of, at the time, it was a way of getting you encouraged can buy a better person. As we speak, what was okay during our time has now turned into a turn off. Na jo med yo zadu ku lori injia useless ku yin man biking bere kon ngi zadu ka ya ju thanum kunyika. So they will believe of themselves that I am maduel ku ka baba duel yaran tinga ba kole. So they start looking at themselves in a devalued in a demean manner. You know, are you rejected, and that itself might cause depression. So some of the things that we say now, and they were normal yesterday, does not mean we didn't go through them. Does not mean the way they were normal yesterday was possibly bad. Okay, it was good with that generation. Because an example of myself or Rame, now big and Yalgo Mongatar, okay, Rana Kennedy, Rana Kennedy Lad Pio, Ko Mongatar generation get cool. Maybe we will not be the people we are now. Okay, we're not the best. We are not the best people you can find, possibly not. But maybe we could not be the people we are now. So everything happens for a reason. That was okay. But this generation, things have changed. And the way things have changed is how we try to make our people aware that can I. So to one yin quite know about Kaipio, Kito Marial, which is my home village, is not the same way being quite by Nobokai Kaipio, Melbourne. It's different. So that is the little I know. It is days take a baby Bewoka awareness created. And Bewoka them Bugunang a different kind of way Ben Mujake look a Yekoira kitchen. Bigger deal alternatives, bigger deal by how to address such problems that can be kitchen. What has been achieved? Not a lot has been achieved in our communities. Okay. But in the world communities, a lot has been achieved. And the fact that recently election in the US take a vice president is an achievement. And it is an achievement you can directly attribute to it is an achievement you can attribute to speaking about women's rights. Okay, be it out of the 16 days of activism, or be it out of the general idea of feminism, or be it out of whatever. Ke chol beko jam kulwela aran ko jwan yaka chakting e ko yega ko generally lekin rel ne yeno meder na ta ko ke ta atung general der le yomi e ka ke ben this awareness yenga che tik toy vice president US ku yenga che tik chol uzi difa junub Sudan. So in the general consensus of the political space, a lot has changed. Kijugu kor bugu loy e bugu try to bring it as lower down as possible. Ago nang such achievement at a very family level, because achieve yara anabin baden yen biya wuzir, achieve yara anabin baden yen biya vice president. So koi dieng tiben dia dieng kite ka chilo it didn't check that's okay with them. But what about the majority of us who are married to us, who are our daughters? Koi kekadye kekaye wogo jo niar bugu this awareness bugu layer to every small level of our society. Agona topandu kengi etingdun chewe mi diedo yen is a potential vice president. Inya tindun je is a potential president. Ago society go benyal katongnom in a sense. Which I
Yen nyer yina mer mayne diemi ben yimba loyan mute man question en jam wa question twing we ko dai wulle jike question en jam wa tin man question twing te jam ti kulela yen what does 16 days of activism mean and what has been achieved? Kina cha nyer ki bertin ko che dun ma kina je bertin so yina mer mayne di
Okay, first of all, thank you guys for developing when Jamo Pembo introduced. Yin Chuko appreciated. Can have a long time of the letter math, but Daman Dunchagam to get to listen to what we're saying. We appreciate that. Tingyen Kanyamir, 16 days of activism, a campaign. Manin campaign, can a campaign initiated by Kochi and initiated back then. Like Kuntanyar Chalwell Kujala did as well, to respond to something. There was a social issue within the community, global community. So it was realized that there was a social issue within the community. But that social issue can afford a response. So that type of response needs to be at that particular time, in the case 16 days of activism. So the social issue that this campaign is trying to address is gender-based violence. Gender-based violence may be wobbling later on to lower jump, maybe based on Kachuan Jagato, maybe a question 3 or question 2. So Anchi would a long time a chap is spent on it. But one different type of gender-based violence. So law in every culture, in every society, in every country are different, completely different, actually universal. The same thing as well with every family. I think a type of abuse or law that might not happen to the next door neighbor. Or next door neighbor, the type of abuse that he is facing a different kind of mind. So we can people that are called Women Global Leadership Institutes. They came up with this practice or with this campaign to respond to any form of gender-based violence or law in any particular community, in any particular family or household. So that's what I know about the 16 days of activism. Cultural law, this campaign is not like other campaigns. It's a campaign to prolong for a certain period of time It's a prolonged thing, like you said before in the beginning. I've got a November 25, let's go December 10. What is meant to be done by that period of time? It's actually trying to raise awareness on this different form of gender-based violence in our community. Some of them, we cannot even see them, whether you abuse. But if we talk about them, race like later on, that will actually bring it to the attention of people that I indeed gender-based violence. I balance gendered, I can practice on a gender lens. So again, at a prolong, what we're doing there is to raise awareness. Maybe a lot of people on my social media page or wall, I think that I have been updating every day. That is not me. I don't do that, but I just promise to actually dedicate my platform, which is my Facebook profile, to actually by updates on anything 20 I think violence against women every day until the 10th of December. A lot of organizations are doing that, but they're doing that to raise awareness and the community, educate, and bring to the attention of community that there are certain forms of violence that we don't know, and these violence are called response. Major responses, maybe I will then question number 2 when we're talking about the themes, but that's what I know about the 16 Days of Activism. It's a campaign to help raise awareness against gender-based violence.
Yen we quite die, we quite on the panel. Get young call, do machine, mobile, Yamer many deal, which a cake late for your input on. You know, me, my name is the car. And what would rotate Balagol from the left to right, Bagol from the right to left. With that one Bagol from the middle to right or to left. You know, me, my name is the car. Tiban Bati Tindin. Question number 2. Yen, a car by war kin 16 days of activism. Ken Grumden or Ken initiated by women war checking the baby. Every year, I believe I name a theme, baby, for that year. So this year in 2020, adding a theme, baby, orange the world. So we pick no be orange. It can have a work. We're calling a bit of research on the topic. We're calling a bit of awareness about the topic itself. So a band week tea, so you know me, Karaba Bear, what does it mean? The theme of Kilwell Orange the World. Bagalwe explain what is behind the theme of the activism for this year, 2020.
Okay, thank you very much again. I'm privileged to go I thought we'll rotate around, but I'll start it. With the 16 days of activism. So I think it has been going for a long time, the period that I know from 1991. And since that year until now, we name different people that actually participate in this, I name different themes. Each year, even kind of different. Previous theme, look at went there before kind of been a theme of 2020. One of them even named democracy within the family, which is the unit, the family units, but named democracy. Another theme as well, I called for actions against domestic violence some years back. And also, there was another theme which encouraged people to actually build a culture of respect toward women. So, global themes of this 2020, if you look at the theme, there, today themes, there is a bit of a difference. There is a huge difference there. Previous themes, speak to the society. But Team Kekula, which is today, they are actually speaking to the countries that are responsible and hosting women. One of them, Chaluna Orange the World. I think Orange the World is the shadow because there's something that come under that. What come under that? A fund. What it means, these particular themes, it's actually encouraged countries to run until we can organizations one there. I myself, I've got an organization back in South Sudan, NGO, and that I really wanted, but things like this, but can help eliminate in the community. But I could not actually function without funding from either government, from the NGOs, from anybody else. So for me to be able to practice, for me to be able to employ people that can execute what I want, I need some funding. So first theme of this year is actually to fund. What it means by that, when this is a period of pandemic, which is the COVID-19, could this period, a long period of time where you know buy than usual. Before take a level and the time we spent together was very little. But right now, the time we spend together is bigger. Anyway, the more you stay close to the person very often, the more your problem are created. So the data that is outside there in domestic violence road increased. How it has been increased, what is the response? The response is for the NGOs, for the countries, for anybody else to actually help fund the organizations, women rights organizations who practice and respond to domestic violence. So the theme to end is calling upon the world, the global leaders, for everybody else to actually fund the women rights organizations on the grassroots level responding to domestic violence. Another theme of today is actually respond. What it's mean there, it's asking you and I to actually respond, to develop a social practice or a social policy, or even an actions by you, by hosted today, you have given us a platform, what you have done, you have actually respond to the domestic violence. So it's calling everybody, the society members, the global leaders to actually develop an action to prevent gender-based violence in communities. Another theme as well is to prevent. That theme, what it says, it's actually asking every person to wanna nyandu, to wanna tingdu, to wanna, or to even in a social platform like this, or other places, to actually prevent gender-based violence. If there is any way that you can actually try to prevent what gender-based violence is, it's calling for you in 2020, one of the themes to actually try by any possible means to prevent gender-based violence. The last theme is to collect. Collect, it's actually mean that you have to collect the data. For example, I am living in this suburb, if I have to respond to gender-based violence, I have to know how many women has been affected by that. We are affected in one way or another, depending on the different type of domestic violence affected. I get to know the data, then I have to submit that data. Data can put a submit that will actually prompt leaders or whoever the city council to actually respond to gender-based violence in that local community. So those are the four themes. And to bear heritage, it's fund, respond, prevent, collect. Theme I very different because they're speaking to different audience. The audience look at speak at global leaders, any mainstream in the society, Kujala country leaders as well. Thank you.
For your response to question number 2. At Abaya tribal we middle bit and your job. Yimben question number 2 in jam. Yinga got question number 1 Yim Benman in the middle. Quay Inkira done mute by unmute in the job. Ingabo, because die, and near them are mute to be.
Like Amir said, the initiative or the campaign.
Another way.
Hello?
Anyerim fingu.
Yeah, like I'm going to say, the aim of the initiative of the campaign this year was to raise money, host public event to raise awareness, and take action against gender-based violence against women. So, like I said before, maybe this year COVID-19 achieved a lot of cases I think a lot raised in regard to domestic violence. So UN and United under the United umbrella, initiative baby to raise money to fund maybe campaign and other maybe raise fund. I don't know why I'm struggling with this. Sorry guys. Raise fund to actually fund campaign violence will be eliminated around the world. So that's what I know. But I'm struggling with this thing because I feel like I didn't do much research coming to this. Sorry, I'm honest with you, our viewers. I didn't do much research. We were meant to do research on Friday, but it didn't happen. So I came here today to talk in general about domestic violence in my community and around the world. On my Facebook, I 16 days of activism, raise awareness against violence. I don't like violence. I feel like we, as a people, all the words are using a weapon to actually, to actually communicate with people. Instead of violence, we need to end violence. And I feel like change will. So this is why I feel like it's very important to talk about this topic. And maybe I would have declined if I wasn't passionate about it. I'm passionate about it, and that's why I'm here today. But I feel like I didn't do my research. So maybe direct question, like questioning me, what does this mean to you? So maybe I'm just gonna talk about what this whole thing means to me today. So what it means to me, what the 16 days of activism mean to me, it means to me that the world is moving toward a better, a better face to that we are talking and we are engaging people and we are raising awareness against we face as a people and as a society. Society in the past, violence, use a weapon to fix things, or maybe or maybe she don't know. But I feel like this campaign is raising awareness that we as a people we shouldn't be using physical forms of contact or whatever form to abuse people. We shouldn't be abusing each other. We should talk and we should use our words as a weapon. So women I most of the time we have the lower hands of things because we're here physically. We are not strong physically, and it happens in every society. But I feel like other people, maybe in maybe African, what you do here a lot in that regard, because maybe education is important for most of us. Actually, education, we are not educated about these things, and we are not educated about how human human nature works and how we should respond to things. Instead of using ignorance, we should use education. Instead of using violence, we should actually talk and maybe use dialogues. Talk to people. Don't touch it. Like don't put your hand on people. That's not okay. Violence against women only is not women can affected as children in that setting are affected as well. And as a society, these things need to be talked about. And so I feel like I came in today not prepared at all. And I'm so happy that my brother Dut is here and Amir is here to talk about these things. Actually, every day that we have a brother on the panel talking about women issues, and I'm really happy that you're here today, Dut. So I have people that I know in my life that are male feminists. Male feminists that I know in my life, I there's only 3 that I know, and those 3 I'm so happy that there's a 4th person today, adding to that mix, and so I think about Dua Jack and maybe would do Bella bit, because I feel like I'm just I'm all over the place and I am wrapping up the whole thing. So maybe when we talk about general later, I will have more to say. But for now, I'll give it to Dudor Amir. Thanks.
Nye jogin chule ku kwamer men dio chule ji akin indut yumben ku bu jala to the real sensitive issues muga jem woman but I jigto how do we relate that to society wo jala bentine ka ki ku ken go tin kin dut in ka ba lo an mute ku baben ba bera me bera nyir ba ki ping badin ka ba ya ku ken yeah so in dut ma chini ngoben ke ba ber ken question number 2 and 2 ti within the global theme of orange the world. So Yungukini, what does that mean? What is behind the orange the world mean? What is that about? Kenapa berindu? Ina aku ini alwe almir ku beralot get. Aywa, now you're good. Take it away.
Thank you, Jack. I think question you think is a fact.
Okay, Laura, mute by yourself. Hindu.
It's I did. Okay. Question number two is a factual question. It's not a question where people have to give common sense or opinions about. It's about young theme of the 16 days of activism in 2020. So I will go by that judgment. It is a fact. It is not opinion. Where I can give my opinion, any other person give their opinion. No, these are things that are written, and it is straightforward. So and below can explanation that made on what the themes of this year are all about. Thank you.
Ayen indu din chule kujayina mer kuna nyer jok for question answer chaga bay. Yen now what into the sensitive issues. Okay, when are the main question book background book on bay. Don't ko che queen ko kina queen be thing man big nang that background real questions care relevant to Lura mirindu kimba ben wajato kamlo tongo question in ba jati what are the or abuse in our communities yene chi la tongato country to country are country itself tribe to tribe or community to community are but what are the causes of gender based violence what are the causes of gender-based violence in our communities? Who are relate can the global view jam yen we are global we are violent free globally. So can you, in that regard, what are the causes of gender-based violence in our communities? Ye gol, ye diar ke gol, ye ror ke gol, ye tier the gol, ye nga gol.
The causes of gender-based violence are children exhausted because they can be as many as possible. Some of the issues, some of the matters we consider gender-based violence are possibly very negligible. Actually, a bigger thing, and that's why the list cannot be exhausted. In the first place, what do I consider to be a gender-based violence? Gender-based violence, an action, year taken, and the effect of that actions, more so negative effects of that action, are only felt by at least one gender in that setup. Okay, that is what I consider a gender-based violence. Lebi jo atong chene ko tor kechen. Lebi jo mental abuse che ko retomene keni. Lebi jo ben in different forms. Maybe Nyira are going to differ with me but then even how people relate in a relationship, say a couple or people who are dating, one of them is cheating on the other, and then there is one person who is going to be so much affected by then. I think in that particular setup, it's a gender-based violence. I would also define it as a violence which is committed by the virtue of being who you are. Okay, I take an action not mindful of the other people who are going to be affected solely because possibly I'm a man, right? Take, for example, I go into a fight with a woman. Then I do that with all the mind and the belief that I think about lawyer in this fight because I am on the higher position. So taking that action by itself to Nongen is possibly I'm doing it because of my physicality, and that would constitute a gender-based violence. Okay, what are the causes? I bet the main cause of gender-based violence in our society, especially in our South Sudanese communities, I would put it at ignorance. The fact that we do not know the long-term effects of what we are doing. So you do not know the strain your action is going to put on a relationship. You do not know the strain your actions are going to put on the growth of your children, for example. You do not know the strain of your actions on the development of your girl child and all that. So I would put that at ignorance. Ignorance, Aliba defines in two ways. One there is ignorance, which is a completely lack of education. Not that you have not gone to class. You have gone to class, you have a PhD. In whatever field you have it in, you could have it in engineering. But you have not put your mind to kati chirika ke yi kam the yi relationship. Don't be rare by kind of mania. Well, you do not know, you have not internalized how you can provide leadership in that environment. Agorana ben goya feeling comfortable. So I could put that one to be ignorance out of lack of education. The other side of ignorance that I'm going to talk about is what I would call the cultural ignorance. You know, where you feel like it is normal. It is normal, or it is normal, or it is normal. Na no cheating the word, good the way you wish, and that it is normal. Na cheating the word too, ke cholo kwandun, bu nyu got pin, kujonga la chite kore. You know, I would say that one in its essence is a cultural ignorance. Cultural ignorance in which you try to define a cultural practice in your own way, in some lenses that are going to make you take an action which is going to affect the other person, okay, in a massive way. So ignorance is a big contributor in mujakel ke gender issues. That is one thing. Second cause which I can think about is what I'm going to call cultural dynamics. Rather, I would call that a cultural shock. Cultural shocks, they come in when there is a contradiction of cultures in which you are ascribed to. More so, for example, dun machin ga the mar amuguter rebedir. Then now you ba berok bogu je bala sukuli. And how I was brought up from the village setup to look at my roles as a man and look at the roles of a woman, kujaba berok, and how civilization is teaching me to really do not take things on or rather put anything into classify anything into genders that can inga yetik loy kukutui yenaka chetik inga chetik loy. Now the moment I have that, if one of us is leaning toward one of the cultures, possibly the woman is leaning towards our Jain culture, and I'm leaning toward the civilization culture in Chanbi Joba Pye. If one of you is leaning toward one culture and the other is leaning toward the other culture, there is going to be a cultural clash there. And that is going to cause a problem. It can be.
In chin imba je churgudui chindu.
Okay.
Can be near Pomer Banning opportunity.
Okay. So these are the things I can identify. Okay, causes. How to mitigate them? How to mitigate them? Maybe we are by a question on its own. But the main issue is ignorance and cultural shocks, which are late.
Indu machine chu late. Imran mute ingo ben. Jemwa Tinumane, we get the basis of the talk today in Jemwa. Question 80, what are the elements, either domestic violence or any other violence that is gender-based or abuse in our communities? Quite hard. The question kene, inga baberi na nyeri jok, inga ben, ajatok, kamer mayen bebaben. Kudun machina chuga appreciate for his views. Nyeri jok, take it away.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. The first cause of it is ignorance or rigidity, like Dude said before. Wanting a set ways of doing things and gender roles, yeah, then follow, and they don't want to, like, learn some other ways to deal with things. So you expect her to do certain things. So maybe human nature to get, because control, then you want to control someone to do things that you want them to do, so that to make you happy. But then their own feeling. So if you try that person try not to do what you want them to do, then it could lead to violence. So rigidity is the first and the main cause of it. The other cause of it is unequal distribution of power in relationship or in any setting. So na ending power work, and that can cause violence in any setting. So maybe in our society, patriarchy, a society, that rule, they should demand and they should tell women what to do and all of that. I think who don't follow, like, if a woman doesn't follow those rules, then it can maybe they get respectful and they don't listen to me. So control everything, and the controlling nature will lead to violence. So the other one is trauma. Trauma, maybe the way you're raised. Trauma is a child when you're young. So now you're going to think then you think that is okay. I have violence, or if something can you affected. Who can only be pure ways in contact with other people, and deal with other people. So now you think, okay, maybe because of your own life, that violence is how you fix things or is how you solve problems, then you would you would always use that to get what you want. So ignorance and unequal distribution of power is the main causes of violence against gender-based violence, especially in family setting. There are maybe financial or social or physical abuse. Abuse is not only physical. Abuse can be, financial, or you prevent them to access to money or anything which can be around. So that is an abuse to prevent someone to have something to be independent, to seek independent or have their own independent abuse. Verbal too, and then write you that I'm you yelling at to feel good about myself, and maybe by Allah, so to make them believe that they are less than me. It can never allow in many relationships. So I actually you can law this is how you do things, woman. They become your victim. And then they don't know how to seek help, or they don't defend themselves against you, because you got power, and you have convinced them that you are powerful in the situation. So they always should listen to you. So you get trauma, maybe the way society is set up, and lack of education too. So it goes down to ignorance. So maybe like Dude said before, ignorance the main cause of violence. So how to solve problems, then you need dialogue. Jam gonna run to then you convince them. You convince them that so we can actually talk in situation because maybe when it comes to maybe our communities, Nira Egatia or Diara Egatia to really any Sudanese marriage, Nira Egatia or Diara Egatia, who can some men believe that now that I think then I own her. So I will always tell her what to do and how to do it. We are any identity and teacher or dang loloi, one lot to loy, then again and again by who that. So they have to do everything that you want to achieve a lawyer to take that to achieve roles can follow. So in our communities maybe they are affected a lot because appear in a certain way. This is how you live life, and this is how you are a man in the family. So masculinity is fragile within the society. Men are fragile. The masculinity they define it in a setting that women should be lower than me for me to feel good about myself. So I think maybe just maybe a lack of education and ignorance. Ignorance is lack of education, no, it's the same thing. And power need to be distributed equally so that everyone but then respect. Respect, this is how these things happen. Like in every setting, let's talk about police and general society. They police people because they feel like people would not conduct themselves the way society have been set up. So I feel like there is a lot of policing in relationship in our community, policing of behaviors or policing of feelings. Some people they are not allowed to speak up for themselves. Abuse in itself, that's social abuse. Some people are put down by how people talk to them and what they have been taught to believe and stuff. That is verbal abuse. Physical abuse, they get to in the setting, maybe a developing. So maybe in our community, like not a lot of people are using physical abuse, verbal abuse are there. So the causes of it is just like ignorance, and I keep going and coming back to ignorance. Ignorant education. So maybe we need education to teach people how to conduct themselves in society and in relationship situation. So yeah, ignorance and equal unequal distribution of power. Women don't have powers, and now the women then powers then one situation because they feel like I am physically strong. Men are educated more men are educated in our community as well, or in our country as South Sudanese, maybe 7% are more educated than men, than women. So can education book tapping with equally power we can everyone, then these things they will keep happening because of ignorance. So I'm all over the place, and I think ignorance is the main cause of violence.
yen ina nyer jok ku jadun machin which a keg for the good responses cha keg lel ramben mane amer men dio the question can be finalized. What you doing with one more question with your final remark? Buto can go kako bakela loy. Can winning a lot of commitment, but I do appreciate your time. Check pay. Men deal. Ingo ben. Question to what jam thin. Jumping on kobong or kuba or kilu again. I are the
Okay. Sorry, Pulabinja cut short a little bit, so but I think anti-concept which I will understand from the beginning, so I'll just start from there. We're talking about late again, we're going to die, we're going to die again. I think this question is the basic, the main concept of today. The good thing about 16 days of activism, I will give a chance to actually explore yung Ben Nyal in that particular year. Like I said, violence against women is updated with year and time. So it gives us a chance every year to actually highlight different form of violence when Ben Nyal at that particular time. But the goodness of it is that we get to explore what actually caused it. Because if we don't know what caused this type of violence, we will never actually find a response or a solution to it, like how to fix it. So for me, what caused gender-based violence? Like we say, we know wanting a different type of gender-based violence. It started from the physical, and then financial, and then sexual, and then verbal, and then spiritual, and then the image-based, and even reproductive gender-based violence abuse at all. Those type of abuse are caused by different patterns. Can you share one thing? They have impact on whoever on whoever that abuse is being directed to. One thing we share in common. Whatever type of abuse it is, it have impact on the victim. Could that impact today? So for me, I think actually the basic point that I should actually ignorance is one thing, people are very rigid to change. But there's one thing that I believe in beside those points. Like physical abuse or physical gender-based violence. A method you could use on there. This was actually the way in Kakuma, if you come fight with someone to work. It was actually the method that we used to solve our problem, to solve our social issues. So we grow up knowing this is the only method. So in that sense, it is caused by the upbringing of that particular society. Whatever setting or form of solving violence or solving social issues, to normalize in that particular given locality, in practice. So that thing actually, like I said, not a lot of people are punching themselves, maybe a few people, but children being able to punch again. There are other things like financial. Financial is even one of the major form of abuse, besides K and Banjam later on. I think what causes it's a perceived power. All the abuse, when I think, beside ignorance and rigidly, a perceived power. We do perceive that we have power over somebody else. For that perceived power, you must practice it, you must exercise it for you to feel powerful over that person. It happens in relationship, it happens in intimate relationship, in and even brother and sister relationships, right? What actually aid you to support that perceived power as a way in society that is structured. Like I said, society that is structured in a patriarchal system that put men up, women down. That's what it is. So when men are up, women are down. This up level, you can control over the level winter down. So whenever anything to do with men and women could be, we see it through that lens. We see it men are in power over women. Natural has something to do with $5. Can men see themselves as they are entitled, they have the power to actually decide how to spend that $5, what to do with what to do with what. That have changed, actually improved a lot, but it's happening in other different types of societies. For us, I don't think that is a major issue. The major issue of Banjam later on. I think we have been raised the men be able to look after Pande. So our men are very generous when it's come to finance. I'm near children being paid, but their main focus is actually to support their family. So financial abuse is such a bigger thing. But I know different ways these days. They interfere with how women actually use their own money. They interfere badly, and that thing is social form of financial form of abuse that you created. Um, how do I blame that? I cannot blame it in Dinka culture because Dinka culture brought men up to look after their families financial or whatever way. I think I blame on the culture, the mix, the culture shock maybe, which or maybe a little bit impact of the civilizations. We have civilized watching in different ways. Women are working, the are working, but men still think that ke will be one. So kana boti kana wunde ka lil mo jen biti like they are responsible to actually tell the family how it's going to be because you get to win one that so they decide how the income are going to spend. But the men but the men still think that even if I have to decide because I have this position, what is it called? The social position of power to actually decide on financial aspect of our family. That's one thing's happening. Another thing happening as well, the major impact in this country or wherever it's happening, Kukachi talking about one there, this type of abuse is called image-based abuse. Image-based abuse is called revenge form in terms of extreme descriptions. This form of abuse that I've been recently, cause me myself, I don't know. I can't even explain why it's happened. Because in Jian culture, kakachi touchan by image of a naked person, but that person could close yin. It was not there. But I even still read a lot, I do a lot of research to get to understand our community exactly what is causing it. To me, the impact of such actions is very extreme. Yung cause it an emotional abuse, cause because psychological abuse, cause. It's actually make the victim to be the lowest individuals in the community. The more not that lower, the more psychological impact, emotional impact I produce. So why do people do that? Maybe I think that a revenge, like the other books, articles, they're trying to revenge on something like a breakdown of a family, something like maybe I refuse to date you today, or we got in relationship and I choose to walk away. So you actually do that to actually intimidate, to cause, to lower the self-esteem of that person, or maybe sometimes to actually, but dignity of aunties and balloon lower down. Why do men do that? Maybe other women you can lawyer as well. But why do those people lawyer? It's again a perceived power. They feel that they have a power to humiliate, to dehumanize that person. They also have a power to make a self-esteem of that person lower down. So the mentality of power, but you don't have power, a bigger issue in our community. And women I go in every aspect. For example, in marriage, we came from a collective society, collective society whereby in our tactic today, people that want to police her or monitor her are actually collective as well. It could be extended family, it could be the clan, it could be the entire Dinka, how to act within that lens or within that social perceptions. So women vulnerable. They wanted to fit into the category where people want them, but they also want themselves as well. So now let them be aware to act within her social or personal phenomenon, get that power positions when power patriarchal system way. What it brings there about God that will bring maybe arguments, insult, things like counter, which is the revenge for cause as well. So I can go on and on and on and on about what caused it, but I can narrow it down to perception of power. If you perceive yourself that you have a power over somebody, then definitely you would think that you can do anything to dominate, intimidate, or even lower that person. It doesn't just happen to for example, I might feel more powerful over another woman, and I feel like, oh yes, I'm in a position of power to actually barrier, to actually or baloyala. So the more we actually understand that we're human, we're equal, we deserve the same dignity, we deserve the same respect, regardless what type of gender I am, regardless of what type of relationships I am in, we are humans and we deserve the same amount of respect. The more we get to understand that and put that kind of perception here, I think a gender-based violence would actually stop. So that's what I can add on to the point 20 years machine. There are so many things, but I will back into one. So that one is the same amount of impact and cost to the victim. So that's what I can add on.
Thank you, Jalej, Pujanyer Jongakol, Run Machine Mabio, for your input. You were Balagolo, quite big way at it, bigger lawyer at the court. So, Ian, no question, Tongolo skip. Come to the final question, about final remarks, Bagalo. Next 15 minutes. So, Ian, I can actually something. Bagro being a time young, can I go again that opportunity to work over Lloyd. The question number 3 minutes, quite dire. Watching, but will educate with viewers. Diamond quite baladine. Can bugging, tongue topping in Jam what's in it. Rambo Nina cracker, Edwin machine. Quite it, I just told with the bear. Come here, my Ben. Ban near jog ventul. Kuyen final remark. Alloy, and can see. Kuberan cover remarks. A question in a cracker. Yen iku. Are you got in power? So the question is just what is men power influence domestically and professionally? So the influence of men power domestically and professionally. Yen part 2 day. When will women stop in our society and beyond? So yeah, agwa toge koi wun toge koi nyop roragwa. But all this, the main power from a domestic perspective, from a professional perspective, kuja women vulnerability, from a domestic perspective, from professional perspective. When will they stop? Kenegale bagade. Inga bati, yindu machine, imba lawyer and mute, babe, ku ajato, kegre, kanyero ben, ba mayor blaben. Well, the other way around. Yeah. Come here, Bob. Here, good. Sorry. Dude, boy, in. Yep.
Anang long can ping up the jack. I will appreciate if you can re-summarize the question again. It's a here cutting a mark.
Kijal. Okay. I'm here. Kijal kwabo.
May we drop line.
Yep. So yen ki alweri in our society. Again, manpower influence domestically and professionally. There's a women vulnerability in our society and professionally. When will this end? When will they stop? How can we improve this better? We can't come here either buy or one galolo or one king by Kevin.
Okay. In Chile, Tibana Goltina Bagola Crichol, Ajapingai, Abagola Crichol structure. And at the family unit, in as much as I would like Branabin, Benang equal powers, Branabin, Benang equal opportunities, KKHO structure. Structure is something that is very important and that I believe we should not run away from. Structure will give a family a definite form of it will depend on how a family organizes it. Why structure is important is to get me by the element. Benjamin by the element I check about do. Command Keba do you get your lawyer, a matter can get your mat. Okay, so you know, you could really not chicken a kilo, Katoy Kunga Pola Bogatao. Some kind of marine, being intimidated. I can go around can loy, younger Benny younger Kunga Pol. So, for example, Nanong is structure to buy. Begging me the Kunyan, come the lover yo could really yield. Now, chicken do you can the killing loy, Kimba well Mamadu. And possibly, Kaburio and does the right thing because I need man and Kiko in Kayaka Kingapore. So, Nala man, Kuchiman ki happy getting you. Get a Daka Kingapore like you. So, you need a structure. It has nothing to do with gender power. It has nothing to do with nothing. It has everything to do with Mirukunjaga. There must be a definite structure in which Nalwele and Gulwele Yang Kabo, Willanga Upioria Gigo, Kemet Brio, a canabopolitan. Power to know my Kubutognan. This is not going to be a character, our society issue alone. It is a global issue when it comes to man's power, be it economic power, be it political power, be it power in the social hierarchy, or be it power everywhere. Much of it. When is it going to change? I don't know the time. So I possibly don't know the time. But in Achimurolo, Kian Berawar, I think I once said on my Facebook page, well, the success of the 21st century, the pride of 21st century, will not be about how much you have in your bank. It will not be about what amount of success in academic you have accumulated. It will be based on how many girl children. A brand be independent. Could you ngorki jola tiak ba dente? The ngorki jokro mo ja gudu baga pandun jola mare. I think if all of us take it as a responsibility to think that all of us deserve equal opportunities, na non ko kero lo so kule ke chibulwela at your family level kulwela ke dungu ke ka ba ko kwen kunyantu ye betiak. If we try to erase that mentality of some girl child is going to be dependent on Monchetiak sometime, it will only start from your family. Okay? It will only start from your family. Banya and Dunuba Bay in Yalking. Abrati Aka winning a day ke koito. Haviapa Miadu, Longa Korokachamke, Lord Louis, Kulamonya Baile Louis, Kulega Bente. Okay, den be ka ken jura loy tin pande ye nga jura bentre loy ko nga ken goda ga be jo bata ka bi jura determine. But the fact that yin you go pandun when you ga kun when you ga wan mu when you ga nyan kui a ta ka kon be nyal ke people you know. Of course you are not raising them chan be that is not the point. The point is they are going to go into a union in which they are equal partners. They are bringing in Chiroloi Chimamuncha Merelwell is that at least a lot of our girl children, especially Koito in our age group now, a lot of our girl children are raised to be second in the hierarchy to learn by then. So you are home in Chiroloi, and the best thing you can do, the best thing you do, a papa, Wagadia, Naja Pingalurga Nongapala, Loy Balon Tiki Chodinya, Kulopale. There's nothing else you do. Now, power brought a watching case. Okay? I cheer at a watching. Cause an agile telloy. Maybe an agile telloy, one agile also cool. Kumamar hereby. And then Allah ben by day. Of course. Na chinda loy. Inchilo telloy. Quinchilo also cool. Kuke barrier. Kimuchina tegum yadu. Yak real mother. Kradaki chinta tegum yadu. Yet tono. So, I can be a bra war in a jack a bra war from the upbringing. The men ya be a bainyan, ke equal partner in whatever relationship below nothing. Naja be nyar equal partner. You will tell me about it. But I can't hear, I'm not yet married. But trust me. Trust me. Nala thiye wada. Kuthiye kitinga luya. Kutingo wuji chwa ipanda. Do not assume nga water. Rana tare rana kwa bente loy. But nathiye kitinga lui then your assumption will be right. Then madam get that because there's nothing else she does. You get on your. So Achan Brawar, we all need to start now. Man, you be encouraged too. We are working hard. Ago nang economic independence. Today, big finances can you manage in Kermo Pande. Yayan be ayan salaries been go jegate. Yakadenigan. Yamun you buy me ayan salaries been go jegate. Be academic. But the main objective is to make sure in Yantin, Kakena Bay Nyalke Jamgule and Ambatia Komea Hochua. Na Chukulu we are Kepawa Brawar. Brajo war at which level? Abijo are depending on the future. But Nakira war at the family level. The Kinera war at the family level. Kikakin magic better war at the country level. There will be no that magic. Aleu. So Jogujal. About them. Woman Yan Muksul. Kutemaya, Wanyan in Muksul. Kutemnakan in Muksul. Buka Bay Nyalke people who are economically productive, who are politically not idiotic. People who are intellectually fit, okay? And Nagwir can keka go tao tarabenu kuwergape. Kena check a. So then we will have a society which is not dependent on one person. Which I can
question to ina nyer. Yena chatemba yan mira tinje achiradiel loy hopefully.
Natural one. So, but we're just well, question.
We quite
that
on
is
your
a
job and a big question a bit there. Okay, good.
Hey, and my question to Babette. Tanzini domestic violence, bijaja, we put an end to it. Chithio, maybe 400 years, or I don't know whether I would ever. But then we are quite and quite all the time. So it may be lessening it, to lower it in our setting as a Sudanese, as a Sudanese, as a country, as Sudanese. I feel like educating women is very important. Tarantipi is very hard to control the morning because na ngi nga ka nga rayet kanchini lo abuse because anyi ya bijal ko bro la ko de or ding anen ka ben karot den ka ben karot ko or they will seek help from other avenues. So now actually education is very important, but we are educated. We are educated in our society is very important. Educating men too. Ran kipi a very rare, is a rare thing, but think ran kipi ram or ran kipi use a form of violence as a way of solving problems. Because kipi I solution, they know how to solve problems. So educating both women and men is very important. The other thing, dowry system is causing a lot of problems. I muntin, into your to you save your money. 80 grand abinya ramia le pen be ya berto. That can, a problem will cause ignorance too. So ignorance can buy culture but no use ke weapon or being ka by that person. So you know what? Commodities. So I don't agree with dowry system. A dowry system, okay, you in that narrative that I'm in charge. I am powerful. I'm the man of this house. We need to deep and need to come. So you listen to me, and I will control everything. Your finance, your move. I call all the shots. So I feel like dowry system is the main causes of violence against women. So early marriages too. Kini mi doi tiag mi da ega tiag then who are in ran one chichimel tiag you expect them to go grow up within the first year chinkala tiag. Maturity levels are different. So you can't marry someone way younger than you and expect them to conduct themselves the way you want them to conduct themselves. So ran kitiri ko diraya wiser than younger people. So healthy marriages are part of the problem. Yene then promoting violence and tempers in our community. So don't mess with them. Behavior tempers or violence or anger, a lack of self-control. Self-control, according to that is very important. Another thing is raising of children. Raising of children, like when you do the raising of children is very important. We raising violence, can be need that is not okay. But I care, now then you talk to someone. Okay, I think what you can program in a way. I think there was a lecture on YouTube. Dr. Jawanja was talking about how Black women they love their son and they raise their daughters. Daughters, they got pure unit conduct level mo yellow by yellow who can but where the Akalan all day, I got low neighbor moving Amiaka Jodir, and then they are given this much power. Kegalanya the Aku Kega always shot a big low calls. So in raising families is very important to inflict good quality, human quality, local way inflict in children. So now ignorance lesson in that way. So creating awareness in our communities too. Maybe then campaign, the 16 days of activism, bigger baby in our communities to talk about, such issues, Louis and women or in general family setting. we can face how to eliminate all these little problems quite harm in families. Yeah, I feel like maybe ran even if they are going to tell, then they are weak up, they are going through problem in their marriages. But in Chela Jambi, because what Dimulu Judge really can go upon a community, I think I can lerby. And I'm here to tell you today that you need to speak up for yourself. Actually, no one deserve a champion. No, Nairan, Teuchin, you go control in any way. Yeah, police and I am a advocate of people calling of women calling police because ran kupi kan ke mat chan be discipline the way in society by discipline. So I can to put a stop to this. Women need to be encouraged to speak up when they are going through problem in their marriages. Um, to end the other thing, the last point I'm going to make a mental problem. Mental problems are taken serious in our community, and sometimes things are little way ignore in relationships because yeah, I was talking about mental problems.
Okay,
so,
here we drop. Anyera believe anyer tul wedu kuba mer mayen be ben yipiang mana.
Yeah, mental problems too. Ato in our community, I think big problems, but I big problems. And I live through stuff. So we need to, be aware of these things. If someone is acting in a way to correct, we look into the problem. So in their marriage or in their family or whatever, that person need to be, maybe they need help. So maybe people need to pay attention to mental problems. Then fear of poverty, all these controlling behaviors, I encourage. If you feel like now bearing access to my money or her money, then over there luck. You know what we have to have a mentality or be encouraged to think of how you gain things, you create things that's how you gain things. You don't control people, you don't control things, and overall domestic violence and no, you can't discipline people with your peace. You have to use your words. Now actually no one can do, then call someone, talk to a friend, talk to a family. There are a lot of help in the communities. So people need to be educated around domestic violence, and people need to be encouraged to talk to people, to talk to other people to solve their own problem if they can't solve it themselves. So, kubatok, intelligent ajak, intelligent dude, is I'm really happy that we have a brother on the panel today talking about women issues. Actually, a very rare thing, and I think I mentioned it before. So I just wanted to thank you for actually supporting this cause. And yeah, but your pal, yeah, parang ba mir la be.
Yen nyer job chale kujadu machine mer mayen dio ben. Winge last question kuwe be pan lo chen ken chen to chane kwa go weti lo lo ga ko yingo ben kun na
Okay. Yeah, everybody, thank you again. We're Heritage for participating in this show today, very meaningful for us and for our community as well. And Yarjok, I think you've said everything. The same to do it machine as well. How could we actually put an end to this? How could we put an end to domestic violence? Like Anyar said, we are all humans. Why we're humans. And humans are its own way of dealing with any problem Jenny and face. Um, some people might have a higher temperament than others, and some people might have a lower temperament than others. So violence it's part of human nature and it's going to be there. But what we need to eliminate any balance when it's based on gender, based on anything. So you have the power to actually abuse me. So that link in the gender link which to be eradicate, I think the way to lose succeed. Even if the rest of the balance will be there. Countries are fighting with one another, that's violence. So what we need, how could we actually put an end to this? I think awareness is very important. Self-aware, by self-aware in Iran, what can actually cause the domestic violence, gender-based violence? You only be in by a calm do anything do or calm do can nyan kui or even nyan do itself or even mit kun jaga be much gonna take. One way in fact when you do my yes, there's this narrative that men are breadwinners, women are there to actually cook what has been provided by men. That was a traditional concept, to be honest with you. And it was not even purely traditional concept in a sense that women also are participants of winning breads in different way around. It's just that the roles are gendered and they are still gendered now. So how women go out to be breadwinners are different than how men go out to be breadwinners. So, but now contemporarily, they are different. Our world is changing, and we also need to change our attitudes towards any social issue. So, okay, I think the biggest problem right now, war from a war zone country. Could be within also very traditional in the sense that the way they treated the women, it is still a factor until now. One in lack of resources where when women and men become educated equally. But that is changing. So what we need to keep doing is actually we need to educate women and bring women and men on the same level. Equal people. They are people that you wanted to invest to be whoever they wanted to be in the future. I myself, if in the future, if Nabala Nang Dukunya, those two kids must be raised or look raised for themselves. I'm not raising them for somebody else. I'm not raising my son to go and place another somebody's daughter. I'm not raising my daughter to go and place another son of somebody's. So raise possibility and success in life. And we adopt that mentality the women and men are the same human beings. When become pure and become somebody in the future. If they decided to get married after them, if Nabula related to after them, that's not my business, but your business. Our business who are parents, or our business who are people that are actually participating in this is to make sure young girls or young boys are looking educated the same. That's one thing. Another thing as well, we need to actually help men to change their attitudes toward women. This thing a bigger thing, and Doja bias, but I will going to be wise on this. We need to educate men to actually make attitudes toward women. For instance, Nadanya will pure somebody that is higher than anyone of us here. Because the same lens, men can tell baby straight from the village. The way Benating will always be gendered as well. He will never say it when she has somebody a pure, that she empowered, she is actually equivalent to another man to pure as well. The man straight from the village will still have the power, will still presume the power over that lady when Jaka pure. Simply because why? We think that men are higher, regardless of what type of man. Even when with his standard that I could be actually higher than him, will always see me lower than him because the society is frame that men are always higher than women. So we can know that men need to change their attitude toward women. If they started seeing women as equal partners, and a lot of men have started to realize that. I think quite, yeah, our brothers and sisters right now, they have realized that having a sister is like having a bodyguard. The same to having a brother is like having a bodyguard. Women and men are participating in the same level. So thanks to people that have realized that, people more can realize, please get to understand that women are actually people that deserve respect, deserve equal treatment as you, deserve the same dignity as you. So do not presume the power to be over them simply because of gender, because idea. Treat them as you wanted to be treated. So can you to get to understand how to treat women's rights? I think a society that will help eliminate gender-based violence. Another thing as well, I walk away dear. You know, there's a bit of issue here. Kukacha can blame because of waiting so was certain. There's this definition of good wife. So a good wife, a good sister, or even good nyan, what we can appear. We wanted to fit into social expectations of what good women are. And once Nachukunum that you could to actually wanted to think and to fit into the definition of good wife, so we actually neglect any strength to kind of work, any talent to kind of work, any gift when to kind of work will be not somebody in the future. So it needs a bit of mental reframing to get to understand the most important asset in your life is not what society thinks, it's not even what anybody thinks, it's what you think you can contribute. What do you think your more purpose is in Iran? Ran, leave alone gender. Your more purpose is in Iran. Try to look into that purpose and bring it out. Do not let society intimidate you and make you think that you're less because you didn't. No. So try to reframe your mind, can a woman that you're somebody, and that somebody deserves space, that somebody deserves equal respect, that somebody deserves to keep the dignity up as men. No one is over somebody. Then for us women as well, I think for you to have that mindset, you need to educate yourself. For you to actually think that somebody that deserves whatever, you need to educate yourself. You need to know what your rights are. You also need to know why, the purpose you're here. You also need to have a boundaries. Boundaries when Chiran cross could be in been undervalued. Plus one time will always stand up for yourself. This society, achieve society dan wana kakuma whereas snatching to disrespect the community, community no, what you are civilized. And the best way we could do is for women to actually learn to stand up for themselves. Do not fall under what the society wants you to be, fall under what that you can be, and stand up for that. Is standing up for something that is right. Is standing up for something that is false, but is being supported by the majority because that's what the majority want her to behave because of gender. So I think those perceptions is just it just need change of perception. That's what I can rely on that. So change the perception from men and women as well, and accept ourselves. We're coach, we're human beings. We deserve every right thing that we both deserve, despite of whether you're female or whether you're male. That's how I can conclude it. Kwachadai, thank you very much. I think this topic was very dear to my heart. And I hope that whatever Chukuleleven will make sense. And I could say, San Louis make, and then you can actually throw away. And thank you guys. Let's continue to advocate and raise awareness against gender-based violence.
Yen in mail mayan dia ku jadun machin ku chakel ja koy dai koy bla dai now to the final closing remarks binge be were not krivel ku yen we chakel and apologies ton koy dai ton we system is stable. I'm not sure why, but it's something I will try to work on. If I platform can actually good, about thing because then another platform. So can I yen around the jam go ben ele way you when a quite way with so can I jam on good thing. I will work it out. If I need to ban bay, but run away be I check final remarks when we check a little kuning tilwing a locking a below. Marks ka ba ke galwel it's summary kawun can get tea kaga to yin kwa can get tea kuning extra bits bagaja lebai can tamanda chilo go gradient further. So closing remarks near jok baba gol a jato ka mer men ben bedun chin blato and get be watch for closing remarks. So in a near jok yimba buy your final remarks baloy ka mer men dioben bedun chin ben gur.
Hey, and what are your viewers for? Thank you for staying with us for almost, I think it's 2 hours. So I word today to raise awareness that, domestic violence is right, and we need to change as a society, especially in my community. Wording a lot of, we have too many problems in regard to, violence against women. So we need to change how we behave toward women. We need to challenge our attitude toward women, and we need to educate ourselves on these issues, how they affect people. In a family setting, if you're granted to do in their family or to have a peace in your home, I feel like it would be better to jump instead of using your hands. I think I would get pain for work. Solve it with words. Don't involve violence in it. So yeah, then not your common sense just talking. Karan bene word. Man yin ko jo no chin ro wo ye. Ye nga no di chin word. Kana kor bi ro bi ya thiro. Yeah, then chin ran ku chat tia ku be pi ri. Ta chin gi an ran ko lo treated. They are human, they have feelings. Okay, yeah, then I ko maybe I kid yin mit ke I think pi lo mama den. Okay, na chile dang yin chile badang good relationship then mit ko ada. Teen man then you know. Yeah, then want to be in a civilized world and to be progressive. To quite cook. Ways you can loy one by our court book of Paul can I one by. We change all the time and we need to keep on with other people and catch up to other people. Societies, I think most of the time, maybe in general in Western world, maybe they say quiet some domestic violence. Not talk any cake, but it's very big anymore like it used to be. So I feel like we need progress, and we need to educate ourselves on previously in TK situation and TK solve. Like I said before, the dowry system, I don't agree with it. I really don't agree with it because I feel like it didn't work. You're entitlement to someone. You can actually, it's your right. Humanly, it's not right. So no one should have power over someone just because of how culture is set up. So dowry system need to be reviewed or need to change or just get rid of it. Because this is how women will aspire to be educated. Because man dene nyaga iti ko chang tia chang ran man chang. Kuyena ka bela pande akin pi akin mulo brala ko nyidi. Then and you can couldn't face in the family or more abusive. I think in pi ke jola no. Tie ngai ti. Ekle rajo mo ga ting di tie de nyan ji ngajo ka pande kumni. Ko bong kri le jare. No one. I don't believe in suffering. And no one should actually suffer. we don't have ourselves as a community. We have a set way of living. We want to live in the 1800s. We go to 2020. How practical is that? Practical. So we need to change our ways. We need to respect people, respect children, respect women. Everyone have a right. You're better than anybody. We are all people. You need people. Or whatever social status to any a better human than the next person. So respect accord will establish in family settings. Yeah, very important. Yeah, accord will be important because important. You can be low nurture. So society need to actually, or let's say in our community, need our low value because I take a low value. Man, when I think it is in your the change or na to get to go man to but man hala ku en ku mi ge bana apel ke achan there's this mentality that nya bit ya ku bela din there I have her can mi de kala dida ke mi jam I mi ke pon kan ye so kala rim ku na den mi de ni kala dida rim ku nya e pa pon ya mi chini ta on that in the burial to the next person or real burial to mo jo real burial anybody ran bene lu le na ran smart ran stupid live we're lazy. We are very lazy community when it comes to learning or seeking ways to actually educate ourselves because what quite really because what in culture empty pride. So empty pride accordingly stop. To educate women, educate yourself, stop it. No, and I'm telling women, I didn't think this show and she's going through things. Then there are ways you can help. Here in Australia, white ribbon, here you go. In your family, you call them. Friend, or she family member, but trust there are ways to deal with these things. So those white people they can help men too. I am you know what? You know always abusive toward their partner. Then they can call them as well and seek counseling. So let's ask people to bend to a civilized society and let's act like civilized people because there's a lot of people intellectual in this community. I can be low in their families. That's right. So intellectuals they intellect always now then you violence that you solve your problem. And talk to someone. Talking even let's say in countries. Countries be better. Maybe a religion a problem to go credit with Islam and then volunteers can for big bad shopping. Power. Then power for because other people will control. But balance is so human are actually progress and let's progress as well as community. So thank you.
Yeah, and you're jogging your leg. A wonderful closing remark. Yen ekene tiai denga chejerer kuchi lote loy. So mayen ba my leg can watch a little bit over time. Baba jam.
Thank you.
Who do machine japurgida?
All right. Thank you again. I think I'm be very, very short because I'm going to go on the road and I'll be leaving very soon. I'm meant to be on the road. Public. Closing remark. Closing remark is walk away and why we are somehow blessed in another way around. But also some of the practices you can lawyer cursed to ourselves and to our families. I am very thankful that we have come a long way. even without something to do with 16 days of activism. We have improved, we have changed. But that change has been in a different form of gender-based violence. This year, we have witnessed a lot and lots of gender-based violence that is associated with revenge porn. Can I use in my closing remark because I think the gen convent in Mintuan ke discuss ko so I'm putting it past any other business. Walk away society, what you form in a sense that every member of society is vital. Role you play in a society that your job of society the role women are playing in every society are very big compared to men, let's be honest. Women are playing the bigger role than men does. But because role you could play it on the objective side, we lower the volume of kukuloi, anything you man you loy a volume increase. So anything you man you even become the subject, what our contribution become the object. That's why people think that women are not actually participating the way that men are doing. So what I am encouraging us, the whole society, let's start valuing women. Let's start to value them. Let's start to see them when that deserve respect. Tonga you might take a part of nature, like that's my stand. Wrong. But do nature wrong in a way when you gendered, in a way when being brought out in a position of power and started abusing Rana Winchikek in a so disrespectful, dehumanizing way. This revenge porn at Ben K could deter in a walk away community, and especially in diaspora, Kujalapa went to like Eastern African countries. Please stop doing this. Completely, please stop doing it. It's very dehumanizing to yourself here and wheelchair. It's also dehumanizing to someone that you're doing that. You don't know the psychological impact, the emotional impact you're actually inflicting on the person in Chinaka. One day, one time, there will be actually a case of suicide trafficking in South Sudanese community as a result of this thing. Why in if you don't want to be in a relationship with them, walk away. Repeat it. Do not dehumanize it because I think feel around you just justified by the relationship by how beautiful their marriage is, by how beautiful their kids is. Regardless of what. And everyone deserves to live. Everyone deserves to live with dignity. So now the way you live with community, the most extreme, the most dangerous form of gender-based violence to ban in 2020 is revenge porn. We need to stop that. Stop sharing. Now, not anything to in your inbox, which is something that makes sense to you, with something that is dehumanizing somebody. Please delete that. I attend the lectures because I'm doing women studies. Good things like this, I work a jam a lot. 2 weeks ago, I attend the lectures in regard to this. They actually call it a different way of. They call it social technological gender-based violence. People are using the technology as a platform to actually advance the form of violence when you live in a kitchen. So you're looking for another way to actually inflict that form of gender-based violence on your victim. So that thing is very critical, not good. I need to go with jam kapal ku yana kari maka kaba marka nan chaga wala tana loy knowledge and we chakle chan chakapin show today. Our society will progress with time. So we really hope that the year 2021.
Okay. But
Mermeni chule kumale jagao are pet well so dun machin bajaben mer
thank you everybody. Malaysian chia anji ngam red anji dakachia kichir is 1:34 a.m. It's 1:34 a.m. in my local time. So daman jitega daman nina jitega na kedoita. Kubanatul I will concur can in Togden Jega I'll concur with all of them in that regard. Ke ba Martin Palawek and especially with your Congo of Sudan, that OHI is stigmatizing ourselves, and especially it's been a form of but I think it's also some kind of psychological torments. Wow. Maybe they do in the girls' talks. They also do it online. They do that form of a small bully romantic. This is a fact. Anyway, we are not going to be romantic overnight. I've said it one time and again that we are trying to fix the problems. We are trying to fix the country, Sudan. And for romance is a state of mind. So for a man to be romantic, you need a good mold, for a man to be romantic, you need good spaces, for a man to be romantic, you need the buyer secure or go jo acha uting du ja gurko e chanum ku chiran du yin. So kango kwan buku by fix. Na chu country fix ke romance of event that will come alone. Other than that, it's been a good discussion, and let's put our side together and try to fix all that we must. We dear tam ke back gam. Much of it we go lar, and I even think some of these photos running around here and there are possibly maybe no ranji tie ko jira bala dom ke nyande de enter pe ko bogo yoting du ko to dangai ke tor be ken ba dier kudamen kreator tu. But then again, sometimes what memory does anybody want to remember in a near person? Like, to be honest, people are naked and people are taking pictures, and sometimes you're like, what kind of memory are you putting? That is stupid, And anyway, I don't want to go there. It's going to be a topic for another day. But sorry, everybody, to break your heart. We are not going to be romantic overnight. We are fixing the country. Thank you.
Yen dur machine which are late for the show this afternoon our time. Merin late for your time. Nearing your chin in your late and to be more nyal. Queen akaga bagi well cake. So the said young do being a jalanin quay by check a mute. Good pleasure, Chan Bagato, today on Conman Hot Talk Show, which I can late, hopefully next time with another topic, Wabang Royo, Nyali can wake up in, which I can late, Bagajan, good evening, yeah, good morning, don't run to machine. Wabajak Bajitan. And bye for now, we view it, which you will late. Bye bye for now.